The seating chart had me at table 14, wedged between the caterer's staging area and the emergency exit. My nephew Tyler's fiancée, Brittany, had been very specific about the arrangement. Single relatives in the back, she'd explained at the rehearsal dinner. We want the front filled with complete families. You know, for the photos. I'm Major General Catherine Kate Sullivan, 47, and I command the 82nd Airborne Division, 16,000 soldiers, $4.2 billion in annual operating budget, and direct authority over rapid deployment operations worldwide. But to my family, I'm just Aunt Kate, the woman who never married and married the military instead. It must be lonely, my sister Michelle had said that morning, adjusting Tyler's boutonniere. No husband, no kids, just that army job. That army job had taken me to 3 war zones, earned me 2 Bronze Stars and a Distinguished Service Medal, and put me in command of America's premier rapid deployment force. But explaining that to Michelle would require her to actually ask about my career, which she hadn't done in 20 years. I'm fine where I am, I said, checking my phone. An encrypted message from CENTCOM. Situation monitoring, Libya contact developing. Standing alert status. Will advise. Always on that phone, Brittany observed, her tone suggesting I was being rude rather than monitoring potential international crises. Can't you just relax for one day? I'll try, I said, muting the notification. The ceremony was standard elegant affair. Flowers, string quartet, Brittany in a designer gown that cost more than a soldier's annual salary. I sat in my assigned back row seat, watching Tyler marry a woman who'd spent the past week making pointed comments about my single status. At least Aunt Kate doesn't have to worry about finding a date, I'd heard her tell her bridesmaids. When you're married to your career, weddings must be easier. During the cocktail hour, I found myself cornered by my brother Mark, Tyler's father. Kate, we need to talk about Mom. What about her? She's getting older, needs more help. Michelle and I have families, responsibilities. You're single, more flexible. We were thinking you could move closer, maybe help out more. I kept my expression neutral. I'm stationed at Fort Liberty. That's not exactly flexible. But you could request a transfer, right? Surely the Army can spare you. It's not like you're doing anything critical. I commanded 16,000 paratroopers. Last month, I'd coordinated a humanitarian evacuation in Somalia that saved 847 civilians. 2 weeks ago, I'd testified before Congress about readiness and deployment capabilities. But Mark thought the Army could spare me because I didn't have a husband and children. I'll see what I can do, I lied. My phone buzzed. CENTCOM again. Libya situation escalating. Possible embassy evacuation. Your division on standby for deployment authorization. I stepped outside to call my Chief of Staff, Colonel Martinez. General, sorry to interrupt the wedding. The situation's developing faster than expected. State Department wants options for emergency extraction. What's the timeline? Possibly tonight. We have 120 American personnel at the embassy, plus embassy staff families. Could be 300 people total. Have the ready brigade prep for immediate deployment. I'll need full briefing in, I checked my watch, 2 hours. You're at your nephew's wedding, ma'am. And I'll leave if necessary. Get me the briefing materials. I returned to find dinner being served. At table 14, I sat with my mother's elderly friends and a cousin's ex-boyfriend who'd somehow still made the guest list. The conversation was polite and meaningless. Such a shame you never settled down, Kate, Mrs. Morrison said kindly. A woman your age still alone. Do you ever regret choosing career over family? No, ma'am. I chose service. It's been fulfilling. But no children. That's what really matters in the end. I thought about the young soldiers I commanded, many barely 20 years old, who called me ma'am and trusted me with their lives. The paratroopers I'd deployed to combat zones, the families I'd notified when soldiers died, the medals I'd pinned on chests after successful missions. I suppose we all define family differently, I said. The speeches started. Tyler's best man made jokes about marriage. Brittany's maid of honor cried about finding true love. Mark stood and toasted complete families, and the next generation. Nobody mentioned me. My phone vibrated continuously. I checked it discreetly. The Libya situation was deteriorating. Armed militias approaching the embassy compound. State Department evacuation order imminent. I texted Colonel Martinez. Status? Ready brigade at 15-minute alert. Aircraft staging. Waiting for your authorization. The wedding coordinator appeared at my table. Ma'am, could you move your chair back? We need to get the cake through here. I moved my chair closer to the emergency exit, making myself even less visible. At 8:47 p.m. my phone rang. Not a text, an actual call from CENTCOM Commander General Patterson. I stepped outside. General Sullivan. Kate, we need your division. Embassy evacuation approved. How fast can you move? Ready brigade can wheels up in 30 minutes. What's the target timeline? Tonight. The embassy is under direct threat. We're looking at potential hostage situation if we don't extract immediately. Understood, sir. I'll be at the command center in 90 minutes. You're not at liberty? Family wedding, sir. But I can be there. Get moving, General. And Kate? Good work having them on standby. I hung up and texted my aide. Have my uniform delivered to the Ashford estate within 30 minutes. Full dress with decorations. Then I texted Colonel Martinez. Execute deployment. I'm en route. I walked back inside. The first dance was starting, Tyler and Brittany swaying to some pop song. My family watched adoringly from the front tables while I stood near the exit, invisible as always. Until the military vehicles arrived. 3 Humvees and a command vehicle pulled up to the estate entrance at 9:04 p.m. Staff Sergeant Davis emerged with a garment bag containing my dress uniform. The one with 2 stars on the shoulders, the one with ribbons showing bronze stars, the Distinguished Service Medal, the combat deployments. The music stopped. Every head turned toward the military vehicles. Ma'am, Davis saluted sharply. Your uniform as requested. The Ready Brigade is wheels up in 18 minutes. Colonel Martinez has the tactical briefing ready. Thank you, Sergeant. I took the garment bag. Wait for me. I walked to the ladies' room and changed. The dress uniform fit perfectly. Dark blue jacket with 2 silver stars gleaming on each shoulder, ribbons covering my left chest, paratrooper wings above them. I pinned my hair back into regulation style and emerged. The reception hall had gone completely silent. I walked toward the exit, past my family's shocked faces, past table 14 where Mrs. Morrison's mouth had fallen open. Kate. Michelle's voice was faint. What are you wearing? My uniform. I'm Major General Catherine Sullivan, commanding officer of the 82nd Airborne Division. I kept walking. There's an emergency situation requiring immediate deployment of my forces. Tyler had stood up. Your ache, General? 2-star. I command 16,000 soldiers at Fort Liberty. Currently deploying them for an embassy evacuation in Libya. Mark appeared blocking my path. You never said you were a general. 2-star. I command 16,000 soldiers at Fort Liberty. Currently deploying them for an embassy evacuation in Libya. Mark appeared blocking my path. You never said you were a general. I did. Multiple times. You heard, Army job and stopped listening. I checked my watch. I need to go. American lives are at risk. But you're leaving the wedding. Yes, Mark. Because unlike your assumption that the Army can spare me, I'm actually critical to operations. My division is the nation's immediate response force. When Americans need rescue, we go. And I command that response. Brittany had joined Tyler, her perfect makeup unable to hide her shock. You command 16,000 soldiers? Yes. The ones currently boarding aircraft to extract 300 Americans from a hostile situation. The Army job you've been dismissing all week is actually running rapid deployment operations that save lives. My mother pushed through the crowd. Katie, I don't understand. When did you become a general? 4 years ago. Made my first star at 43, second star at 46. I briefed Congress last month, coordinated a Somalia evacuation that saved 847 people, and currently maintain readiness for exactly this type of crisis. I gestured toward the military vehicles outside. But you've been too busy discussing my single status to ask about my actual life. We didn't know. You didn't ask, Mom. For 20 years, you've treated my career like a hobby that kept me from real life. Marriage, children, complete families. I nodded toward Mark. He suggested the Army could spare me to help you. I command America's premier airborne division. The Army cannot spare me. General Patterson appeared at the entrance, having driven from CENTCOM himself. His 4 stars gleamed. "General Sullivan, we need you immediately. The situation's deteriorating." "Yes, sir." I turned back to my family. "Congratulations on your wedding, Tyler. I hope you'll be very happy together." "Aunt Kate, I had no idea." "Nobody did. Nobody asked." I walked toward General Patterson, who snapped a salute that I returned. "I'm ready, sir." We left the reception hall together, past stunned guests, past family members who'd spent years pitying my single status while I commanded thousands of soldiers. In the Humvee, General Patterson reviewed the situation. Embassy compound surrounded, hostile forces advancing, 300 personnel need immediate extraction. "You're ready, brigade. Wheels up in 12 minutes. I'll coordinate the operation from the command center." The wedding was treating me like the lonely aunt who couldn't find a husband. Turns out commanding the 82nd Airborne is more important than cake cutting. He smiled grimly. "Indeed it is." We reached Fort Liberty's command center at 9:53 p.m. My ready brigade was airborne. 6 C-17s carrying paratroopers, equipment and everything needed for emergency extraction. I took my position at the operations center, coordinating with State Department, CIA and embassy staff. The operation lasted 11 hours. My paratroopers secured the embassy compound, evacuated all 300 personnel without casualties, and established a defensive perimeter that held until everyone was out. It was textbook airborne operations. Fast, precise, successful. At 8:30 a.m. I emerged from the command center to find my phone flooded with messages. "Michelle, Kate, I'm so sorry. We had no idea you were so important." "Mark, General? You're an actual 2-star general? Why didn't you tell us?" "Mom, everyone's asking about you. They saw the news coverage. That was your operation?" "Tyler, Aunt Kate, the news is saying you commanded the Libya evacuation. 300 people saved. That's incredible." "Brittany, I feel terrible about the seating chart. I didn't know you were." I deleted the messages and called Colonel Martinez. "Ma'am, excellent operation. 0 casualties, all personnel extracted safely. The State Department sent their thanks." "Good work, Colonel. Make sure the soldiers get proper rest before we reset readiness status." "Already done, ma'am. Also, your family's been calling the Public Affairs Office. A lot. Tell PO I'm unavailable for comment." I spent the rest of the day debriefing the operation, coordinating with CENTCOM, and preparing after-action reports. The Libya evacuation would be studied at military colleges as a model airborne operation. My family's wedding would be remembered as the day they discovered the lonely aunt commanded 16,000 soldiers. General Patterson found me in my office that evening. "Hell of an operation, Kate. The president called personally to thank you." "The soldiers did the work, sir. I just coordinated it. And left your nephew's wedding to do it." He smiled. "I heard about the seating chart. Table 14 near the exit. They didn't know what I did, sir. Easier to pity the single aunt than ask about her career." "Well, they know now. CNN's been running your photo all day. 2-star general commands daring embassy rescue. Your family must be very proud." "They're very surprised, sir. Pride might come later." He stood to leave, then paused. "For what it's worth, Kate, you made the right choice. The army can't spare you. Those 300 people in Libya certainly couldn't." After he left, I pulled up the news coverage. Photos of my paratroopers securing the embassy, C-17s evacuating personnel, my official military photo with 2 stars gleaming. And one photo from the wedding. Me in full dress uniform, walking past my shocked family toward the waiting military vehicles. The caption read, "Major General Catherine Sullivan leaves family wedding to command emergency evacuation operation." I closed my laptop and looked at the command center below. Officers coordinating global operations, soldiers maintaining readiness, the constant vigilance that kept Americans safe. This was my family. These soldiers, these missions, this service. Table 14 at my nephew's wedding seemed very far away. And I didn't miss it at all.